So you want to understand meditation, specifically this idea of meditation in emptiness.
Right.
Well, to help you wrap your head around it, we took a deep dive into a talk by Osho
Okay.
about Bodhidharma,
Yeah.
and I think you'll find it really insightful.
Osho, he had a unique perspective on things, that's for sure.
Yeah, he did, and it's interesting to hear him talk about this ancient practice, especially when you consider the challenges of trying to translate these concepts
Oh, yeah.
from Sanskrit into English.
It's really hard.
I mean, where do you even begin?
Oh,
Like, how do
no.
you explain something as nuanced as emptiness without losing something in translation?
Yeah, and even the word meditation
Yeah,
doesn't quite capture the full essence
right.
of the Sanskrit word dhyana.
And Osho actually argues that our typical understanding of meditation as this, intense concentration is actually off the mark.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he tells this story about this philosopher named Braspeti, who got so absorbed in his work that he totally blanked on his wife's name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's a great example of how concentration differs from true meditation.
right.
Concentration's like laser focus on one thing,
Yeah.
shutting everything else out. But meditation, as Osho describes it, is about being open
Okay.
and receptive to everything around you
Yeah.
without getting fixated on any one thing.
So it's not about forcing your mind to be blank.
No, not at
Right.
all. It's more about letting go of that constant need to,
Yeah,
grasp onto thoughts and feelings.
I see.
It's, imagine a temple
Okay.
with sunlight and wind flowing through it. Thoughts and sensations are like the wind and light
Yeah.
passing through without disturbing the temple itself.
That's a beautiful image.
Yeah,
So in this sense, emptiness doesn't mean a blank mind,
right.
but rather a mind that's not clinging to or resisting anything.
Exactly. And then to further complicate things, the word, dhyana itself, has morphed in meaning over time
Oh, sure.
as it traveled from Sanskrit to Pali to Chinese and Japanese.
Right. It's like a game of telephone.
Totally.
Yeah.
And Osho told some funny stories about
Yeah.
how miscommunication can happen.
He did, like the one about the father who panicked, thinking his son swallowed a contraceptive.
Oh, right. And it turned out he had another one?
He had another one, yeah.
Or the French woman
Uh-huh.
who thought she was getting one procedure but ended up having a tonsillectomy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
language can be tricky.
It really can.
And that's definitely something to keep in mind when we're trying to grasp a concept as profound as dhyana.
So if meditation isn't quite the right word, how did Bodhidharma define this meditation in emptiness?
Well, he put it this way.
Okay.
He said, one observes things in the phenomenal world, yet always dwells in emptiness. That is meditation in emptiness.
Wow.
Yeah, he's basically saying that you can be aware of everything happening around you and within you, but you don't get swept away by it.
Right.
You remain grounded
Yeah.
in that inner stillness.
It sounds almost paradoxical.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're fully present,
Mhm.
yet detached at the same time.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating a state of awareness that's both receptive and spacious.
Okay.
And it's not a passive state, though.
Right.
It's an active awareness that allows everything to be without judgment or resistance.
And this is where the emphasis on direct experience comes in.
Absolutely.
Like, Osho doesn't lay out a rigid set of instructions.
Yeah.
But rather
Yeah.
encourages us to discover this state of emptiness for ourselves.
Exactly.
So he's not giving you a recipe to follow, but rather inviting you to explore and find what works for you.
It's about experiencing the truth directly,
Right.
not just intellectually understanding it.
So it's less about achieving a specific outcome
Right.
and more about the process of self-discovery.
Exact.
Osho keeps coming back to the limitations of language because words can only point to the experience. They can't fully encapsulate it.
Right.
So it's like trying to explain what chocolate tastes like to someone who's never had it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can describe it in detail, but the real understanding comes from taking a bite.
Right.
And it's the same with meditation and emptiness.
Yeah,
The true knowing comes from experiencing it firsthand.
that's it.
And Osho frequently talks about his own practice of meditation,
He does.
which speaks volumes about its importance to him.
It's clearly not just a theoretical concept for him.
Right.
It's a lived experience, a way of life.
Yeah, and he even talks about how he consistently returns to meditation, highlighting its central role in his life
Yeah,
and in Eastern philosophy overall.
for sure.
So It's about cultivating that open, receptive awareness in everyday life.
That's right.
Not just when you're sitting on a cushion for 30 minutes a day.
It's about bringing that same quality of presence to everything you do, like walking, washing dishes, interacting with people.
That makes it seem a lot less intimidating.
I think so.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to achieve some perfect meditative state, it's about simply noticing what's already present within you.
And as you practice this, you might start to notice a sense of spaciousness or stillness emerging within you.
It's not about forcing that stillness, but rather allowing it to be there.
Okay.
It's like the sky. It's always there, even when it's covered by clouds.
So even though we've been using the word meditation, it's more about a way of being than a specific technique.
Exactly.
And Osho doesn't get caught up in methods because he wants you to find what works for you.
Yeah.
It's about discovering your own path to this state of emptiness, not blindly following someone else's rules.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to be patient with yourself.
Yes.
And approach this exploration with a sense of curiosity and even playfulness.
Yes, exactly.
Because at its core, this is a journey of self-discovery.
It is.
And as Osho reminds us, the truth liberates only when it's your own.
That's right.
So much of what we've been talking about really hinges on understanding this idea of emptiness.
Yeah.
It's a concept that I think can be hard to grasp.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially for people new to meditation.
Yeah, it definitely goes beyond our usual way of thinking, because in our daily lives, we're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation.
Right, we're always on the go.
Exactly. Always doing, striving, reaching for something.
Yeah.
And emptiness invites us to shift our focus from that doing to simply being.
It's almost like hitting the pause button on all that mental chatter, isn't it?
In a way, yes.
Okay.
But it's not about suppressing those thoughts or emotions. It's more about creating space for them, allowing them to arise and pass away without getting caught up in them.
So if someone is just starting out, how can they begin to cultivate this sense of spaciousness within themselves?
One simple but really powerful practice is to just bring your awareness to your breath.
Okay.
Notice the sensation of each inhale and exhale. Don't try to control your breath, just observe it.
It's so interesting how something as basic as breathing
I know, right?
can be such a profound tool.
The breath is always with us. It's a constant anchor to the present moment. And by focusing on it, we can start to create that sense of stillness within ourselves.
Osho also emphasizes the importance of being present with your experience, whatever that may be.
Exactly.
So it's not just about noticing your breath, but also being aware of the sounds around you, sensations in your body, even the thoughts that arise in your mind.
It's about cultivating this panoramic awareness that encompasses every aspect of your experience. And as you do this, you might start to notice that there's a space.
The stillness within you that's untouched by all the coming and going of thoughts and sensations.
It's like realizing there's a difference between the sky and the clouds.
Yes.
The clouds come and go, but the sky remains.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And just like the sky's always there, the sense of spaciousness is always present within you. It's just a matter of learning to access it.
So it's not something you create.
Right.
It's something you discover.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of meditation, right?
Yeah.
It's not about adding anything to yourself, but rather peeling away the layers that obscure your true nature.
But it's not always easy to let go of those layers, is it?
It's true.
We tend to cling to our thoughts, beliefs, stories.
We do.
Yeah.
But with practice, we can learn to observe these things with more detachment.
Okay.
To see them as passing phenomena rather than solid, unchanging truths.
So it's about developing a different relationship with our thoughts.
Not trying to eliminate them altogether.
Exactly. It's like watching leaves floating down a stream.
Okay.
You can observe them without getting caught up in them.
Right.
Without trying to control where they go.
Okay.
Yeah.
This brings us back to the idea of emptiness not being about achieving a blank mind, but rather a mind that's free from clinging and resistance.
Precisely.
Okay.
And as we cultivate this inner spaciousness, we may find that we're less reactive to the ups and downs of life.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we can experience those challenges with more equanimity and joy.
So it's not just about inner peace.
Right.
It's about transforming the way we interact with the world around us.
Absolutely. And that's what makes meditation in emptiness so relevant, I think, to our lives today. It offers a path to greater freedom, clarity, and compassion.
Yeah.
Not just for ourselves,
Right.
but for everyone around us.
Earlier, we talked about how Osho emphasizes the importance of finding your own path to emptiness.
Yeah. Does he offer any guidance on how to do that?
While he doesn't prescribe any specific techniques,
Okay.
he does emphasize the importance of approaching this journey with a sense of curiosity and playfulness.
Okay.
It's not about forcing yourself to meditate,
Right.
but rather finding a way that resonates with you.
So it's about being open to experimentation, discovering what works best for you.
Exactly. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this.
Right.
The most important thing is to be kind to yourself and enjoy the process.
It's about embracing the journey, not just focusing on the destination.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what meditation in emptiness is all about.
Okay.
Embracing the fullness of our being
Yeah.
in all its complexity and beauty.
This concept of emptiness, it feels like it really challenges a lot of our preconceived notions about meditation.
Yeah.
It's not about, escaping reality,
Right.
but rather engaging with it in a more conscious and balanced way. Yeah, it's about cultivating a different quality of awareness.
Okay.
One that allows us to see things more clearly, respond to them with more wisdom and compassion.
Earlier you mentioned that Osho, he doesn't really dwell on specific techniques for achieving this state of emptiness.
Right.
But he does emphasize the importance of direct experience.
He does. He believes that intellectual understanding is only the beginning.
Okay.
The real transformation happens when we embody this emptiness, when we experience it for ourselves.
So how does that happen?
Well,
How do we move from a conceptual understanding to a lived experience?
Just by being present with our experience without judgment or resistance.
Okay.
Just noticing the sensations of our breath, the sounds around us, the thoughts that arise in our minds, allowing them to be as they are.
So instead of trying to force ourselves into a certain state, we're simply observing what's already there.
Exactly. And as we practice this,
Yeah.
we might start to notice a shift in our perception.
Things that once seemed solid and unchanging may begin to appear more fluid
Yeah.
and impermanent.
It's like realizing that our thoughts and emotions are like waves on the surface of the ocean. They come and go, but the ocean itself remains vast and undisturbed.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
And as we connect with this deeper dimension of ourselves, this inner spaciousness, we may find that a sense of peace and clarity naturally arises.
It's like discovering a wellspring of tranquility within ourselves.
Yeah.
A source of strength and resilience that's always available.
And the more we tap into this wellspring, the more it overflows into all aspects of our lives.
So even though we started with this question about meditation and emptiness,
Right.
we've really been exploring a way of life. It's a way of being in the world.
Osho's teachings are not just about meditation.
Right.
They're about awakening to the fullness of our being and living in harmony with ourselves.
And the world around us.
It's about waking up to the present moment, to the richness of our own experience.
Absolutely.
And to the interconnectedness of all things.
And that's a journey that's well worth taking.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive into meditation and emptiness, you mentioned that you had a thought-provoking question for our listeners.
I do.
Okay.
If thoughts are like passing clouds, what is the nature of the sky that holds them?
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
It invites us to contemplate the very nature of awareness, the space in which thoughts arise and disappear.
Exactly. And that's where the real exploration begins.
So it's not just about quieting the mind,
Right.
but also about understanding the very nature of mind itself,
Yes.
recognizing the spaciousness that allows thoughts to come and go without defining who we are.
Exactly.
Well, I think this has been a really insightful exploration of meditation and emptiness,
I agree.
drawing on the wisdom of Osho and Bodhidharma. And hopefully this has sparked some curiosity for our listeners. Maybe even inspired a few of you to explore this further on your own.
The real journey begins within. So
Yeah.
take a deep breath, embrace the emptiness, and see where it leads you.
That's great advice. And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive into meditation and emptiness.
Thanks for listening.
Please like, share, and subscribe.